basically the questions that I'll ask Dan about. Tomorrow I'm gonna send him the contract, with some very specific questions, and I'll let him know that Ken already has a contract already for them to work together to answer some of our questions. I will contact Marie regarding, a letter, or, well, I want, basically a contact person at Dattco and something in writing from Dattco, you know, agreeing to the honoring of the contract.
Right, the contract's gonna be honored for 2 years.
Right.
And what their, this phrase here of retained staff with the transition.
Right.
Is that gonna be just a year, is it gonna be 2 years, what that agreement entails?
Okay.
And because those are the two, I mean, they're two separate concepts, but they're, I mean, they're tied right next to each other.
Okay, I can take care of that. But I think we're in agreement that we really can't do anything before September 2nd.
Well, yeah,
Oh, right,
Right, okay.
we're not gonna.
I mean, just it would be impossible to get something in
Well,
it doesn't mean we can't do anything after that.
I mean, the only thing is here, at least, what Dattco is doing in buying Nichols is they're buying the fleet.
Right.
If you went to First Student, for instance, I mean, they've got buses. Now they gotta figure out how to take their bus fleet and add in East Haddam. They've gotta reconfigure theirs, and you know, now you're saying to somebody, oh, by the way, in the next 60 days, and the odds are you're not gonna get very far unless it's one of the really big time, you know.
Yeah, most districts advertise on like January
Right.
1st for the next school year.
Right, right.
January, February time frame.
All right, well, I think that's how we need to go forward here.
Okay.
Do we have any,
No one
Bill?
No, I think the questions we need to get asked are for immediate, you know, what protections are for the people that are there, and then after next year, is it an automatic carryover? If it's a carryover, or all terms, you know, just what are the stipulations that, let somebody look at this from the point of view of contract law.
All right, so Charlie's looking for the letter by the 25th.
Right.
So that's 11 days. The sale is supposed to go through on
August 1st.
August 1st. So let Dan and Ken, let's get those answers from those guys.
And then I would simply say we should just authorize the acting superintendent to issue that letter, assuming when you get the material back, it makes sense.
Okay.
Well, actually, it really has to come from, because of the contract, the way the contract's written, it has to come from either,
Nancy O'Brien.
right, yeah, it would actually come from Nancy O'Brien.
Well, then
But
somebody
it'll
needs
be-
to let them.
It'll be our,
Right,
some,
but I'm just saying, okay,
recommendation
yeah, that's
that
fine. If that's the way the contract is, and so be it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it actually would be your recommendation.
if we determine, if we look at it and see something, a bump in the road, well.
Yeah, and actually, well, we should have that information by then,
Mhm.
you know, because it's.
I would think so.
Yeah, because I had a long conversation with Dan today, and he said, just send me the contract, and I'll be able to help you answer those questions, you know, pretty easily. And there's really not much in the contract, I mean. it's
No,
very
I
basic.
can't, glancing through that, I see nothing other than that one section.
Exactly, yeah, that's what I was looking at too.
I'm surprised that it doesn't have a section in there on say.
Well,
He's owned
the
the company for 70 years, I mean.
No, I know, but just, you know, kind of almost boilerplate.
right,
What happens if, as opposed to, I dissolve it, or but in this case, it's selling it.
Right.
But that's fine.
The other question, I think, for the attorneys, because we really haven't been in this position before, is there any State Department of Ed approval requirements, like with cafeteria, everything we have to do, even issue a bid, they have to approve the bid before it goes out. So, just to make sure there's not a step there.
We should become a charter school.
I would hope that they would.
Oversight.
But just to make sure, you know, this is a new one for us, and I couldn't see anything, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
right, okay, that's a good question to ask them too.
I would think that the companies fulfill whatever statutory requirements there are for transportation of students, and that certification would carry regardless, you know, when you hire them as, if you will, a certified carrier.
Agreed, but
But-
like for
but who knows?
cafeteria, they have to even approve the bid before it gets issued. And the annual renewal of the contract, so I wanna make sure that if there's anything
Right,
the department head has
that's
to
fine.
approve.
Absolutely.
And somebody needs to justify their
Okay,
existence.
I'll ask the same question too.
Very
So I'll
well
write it,
stated.
I'm gonna do a write-up before I send it to
Never an
them,
employee.
you know, and then and I'll get the responses back to you guys.
All right, all right,
Good.
then we're adjourned.
Appreciate that.
Okay, no problem, thank you.
Can I ask a
I don't know.
question while you're all here?
We should have done
questions.
that. We should have done that. See if there's any audience here.
There's no audience for this meeting.
Well, there isn't?
Well, can I just ask a question while you're all here instead of having to send out emails? Instead of being reactive, can you be proactive and put a bid out just to see what's out there? So if you're not happy in October, you're not waiting a year?
Well, I think part of what we're finding out is what are our obligations. If they sell the contract, do we have an obligation?
Yeah.
So we need to find out from the attorneys what everybody's rights are. It could very well be that we may not, we may be in a situation where we can't do that.
Well, we have a situation where you have a bus driver, or at least one, that
Shouldn't be transporting
shouldn't be
children.
with kids, and Nichols isn't doing anything about it, so how do we
I
know
think that's what you got to,
that?
I don't know.
What
if
are
the
their
report-
qualifications to be rehired with our company and come back driving? And what are their certifications going to be to continue to be a
Yeah,
bus
these are the
driver?
questions that need to be asked.
Me personally being a bus driver, I know what my requirements are.
Right.
Is Dattco gonna meet those requirements for safety meetings,
One,
on-job training,
That's what I mean.
personal man?
all I can tell you is I've had experience with Dattco in another district, and they did in fact comply with all of those
Well,
kinds
not
of
according to
things.
the Google search we just did.
Well,
to
I'm-
the-
There's two right there. You said you did a Google
there you
search
go.
and it came out lousy.
Okay.
I don't know what your search is, I'm just telling you what my experience
What are their
is.
policies for cameras on buses?
I mean, yeah, can we,
That's
can we?
That actually is, I think, us.
That's us.
We're the ones who decided.
I
to
had
stand on buses.
dealings with Marie Nichols for 2 years, and I know I didn't do any training. We
Well-
sat in a bus and just signed up for,
But I can tell
so
you
she didn't
that,
want to be bothered.
but cameras are our decision.
That's why I chose not to be
Yeah,
employed.
sorry, I was late with my.